Hey guys, Miss Sewing here, and in today's video we're going to talk all about the U.S. History STAAR test and cover everything you need to know to succeed at this test at the end of the year. So let's talk a little bit about this STAAR test. If you have been living in the state of Texas for a while, you know that the STAAR test is taken by every single 11th grader in the state, and it is required to graduate. You have to pass this thing. What that test is actually going to look like, well, we're not quite sure because the state keeps a lot of it secret, right? So we can't just memorize a bunch of things and regurgitate it at the end of the year. What we do know is that there'll be about 68 multiple choice questions. Could be a little bit more, but it will not be less than 68. And that all history since the year 1877 is fair game. That's obviously quite a lot of information, so pace yourself, we'll get there. When this test is going to be, again, I don't have a date for you, but it's always in early May 2022. So spring semester, of course, when I have that date, I'll be sharing it with you. Scoring, we need a 3,500 to pass. Now that means about a 50%. That's kind of a soft number. It could be a little bit less, but we'll say 50 to be safe. So let's talk more about this scoring system. As you see, STAAR does not use like a traditional percentage system. You're not going to see your score as like a 70%. You'll see it as a raw score. And there are 4 categories that the state puts together, starting with what's called did not meet. That's going to be that 3452. I know that's a weird number or less. That means you did not pass the STAAR test and you'll have to retake it. The other 3 categories are passing scores, right? So we're all shooting for something between approaches, meets, or masters. So approaches is going to be, like I said, kind of in the last slide here, it's going to be around a 50%. Meets is going to be a little bit higher. This changes every year, but I'm going to ballpark it around a 65. 65 says you've met expectations, and it really just means that you're on grade level. It means you're where the state thinks that you should be. Finally, we have this master's category, which can be anywhere between like a 75 to an 80%. This says that you are commended. That's something you could definitely put on your resume, right? As you're applying for jobs or for college, that's a pretty high marker, right? That's the biggest or the best category you can be in. But to recap, you'll see all these raw scores here. I wouldn't worry about it too much, don't feel like you need to memorize it, but our main number here is that 3,500 that says that you've passed, that you've mastered enough to move on to the next grade level and to graduate. You might be thinking to yourself at this point, how do you prepare for a test that could cover, well, pretty much anything? As I said earlier, this test covers all of history from 1877 till today. That's a lot of information, so I've got a couple of things to keep on your radar, to keep in the back of your mind as we progress through the year of what you can focus on. Number 1 thing is vocabulary, and you'll see pretty soon, and we're going to hit this hard because knowing vocab is kind of the first step. We're going to see a lot of questions that use vocabulary, and if we don't know what the words are, we certainly can't answer the question. Next thing is focus on the big picture. We're going to do a lot of this kind of big picture thinking in class because if we try to memorize all these details, they're going to leak out of our brains. We're not going to hang on to everything. And so it's more helpful for us to get that big picture so that we can apply what we know to the questions, even if the questions are a little unknown. We're also going to practice, right? We're going to annotate questions. We're going to get really familiar with how STAAR is set up and looks like, how it likes to trick you, and what sort of hacks and strategies I've got for you. I want you guys also to keep those guided notes. We're going to be doing those with our video lessons. It has our content. It's going to be an amazing study tool, especially at the end of the year, where what we learned in the first and second 6 weeks was a long time ago. And finally, my suggestion is not to wait till the last minute to study for anything. And this goes for any big summative test, right? It's better to break things up into 10-minute chunks than try to cram for a couple hours in the days before STAAR. I want to leave you guys with this quote from my man, David Goggins. He's an incredible endurance athlete, an ex-Navy SEAL, a total badass. Go check him out if you don't know who he is. But he has this quote I really admire, and it says, "We don't rise to the level of expectations. We fall to the level of our training." And I really like this quote, not just with athletic pursuits, but with academics as well. We don't just score high on a test because we expect it of ourselves. We're going to perform at the level of our practice. And that's what we're going to do in here. We are going to practice a lot. We're going to train because nobody comes to school perfect and ready to take a STAAR test. It's a very specific skill set, and we're not born with it. So expect to fail sometimes, expect to have those struggles. It is normal, it is expected, and we're going to work through it. Thank you all for watching. Make sure you are completing your guided notes before you turn it in, and I'll see you guys in the next video.